Hey guys, in this session I'll be teaching you how to paint this beautiful sunset using Mijello Mission Gold paints. So let's get started. Materials required are cotton watercolor paper. Here I'm using Ash cold press 100% cotton 300 GSM. Feel free to use any kind of cotton watercolor paper. A masking tape. This is a 1-inch masking tape and an old plywood or any kind of board to fix your paper. 2 jars of water, one for warm colors and the other one for cool colors so that your paint doesn't get muddy. And for the brushes, we need only 3 brushes, a Hague brush or any kind of large flat brush, a round brush, and a long pointed round brush or any kind of size number 1 or 2, tissue papers, a ceramic plate or palette to mix your paints, a spray bottle, a regular mechanical pencil and an eraser. For the colors, I'm using Mijello Mission Gold in the shade Cobalt Blue number 1 and number 2, Sepia Orange, Permanent Yellow Light, and Burnt Sienna. Now let's tape down the paper to the board. Take your masking tape and firmly fix the paper onto the board. Make sure you run your hands on top of the masking tape so that the paint does not seep through the masking tape. Otherwise you won't get the clean and perfect edges. I'm also placing a ruler under the board so that the paint comes down due to the gravitational force and it makes the blending much easier. Now I'm separating the sky and the water by using a masking tape, and I'm squeezing out all the necessary colors onto the palette. Now take your Hague brush or any kind of large flat brush and I'm thoroughly wetting the top portion of the paper, that is the sky. Make sure to evenly spread the water and no puddles are formed. Now I'm taking Permanent Yellow Light from Mijello Mission and I'm starting to apply it near the horizon line. I'm taking some orange and blending it with the yellow. Now I'm using a tissue paper and picking some color to create the sun. I'm also applying a wash of cobalt blue on top of the sky. Make sure the blue and the orange does not mix, otherwise you'll get a brown shade which we do not want. And we are done with the first layer. Let the first layer completely dry before you move on to the second layer. Once it is dry, I'm again applying a second coat of water and I'm applying the same colors as I did for the first layer, but the only change is that for this layer I'm using more amount of paint and less amount of water, that is the paint is used in a thick consistency. Once the first layer dries, time to remove the masking tape and let's start painting the water. For this again I'm wetting the bottom portion of the paper we are just going to paint the same exact colors as we did for the sky. Permanent yellow light, orange and cobalt blue, number 1 and number 2. As you have noticed, I haven't painted the center portion of the water as we are going to paint the reflection. So make sure to leave those spaces white. If you have accidentally applied any paint, you can always remove it with a tissue paper or a damp brush. Using a damp brush, I'm removing some paint from the center to create the reflection. Now I'm taking cobalt blue number 1 and applying it. You can use cobalt blue number 2 at the very bottom of the paper. Now I'm taking some orange and applying it. The darker the outer area, the brighter will be the reflection. So make sure to darken the outer areas by using some orange and blue. Again, I'm removing some paint to get the reflection. You can see the paint is easily removed by using a clean damp brush. Make sure to clean your brush every time you remove the paint, otherwise you'll get some paint stains onto the reflection. Now I'm going to add a few mountains at the distance. For this I'm using burnt sienna and making some small mountains on the horizon line. Time to paint the grass. For this I'm using sepia. Sepia is a dark brown color almost. It resembles a black color. You can also use a black instead of sepia. There won't be any difference. I'm just making a thin line. The more delicate the line, the more beautiful the grass looks. It also looks more natural when it is painted very thin. There is no specific shape to paint a grass. I'm just using some random strokes and making some leaf-like structures. I'll share another small trick here in case if you're finding it difficult to paint using a brush. You can always use a micron pen and make the grass. This is an easy method for painting grasses. I prefer using a brush, but you can also use a micron pen in a size 2 or 4. So in this angle, my strokes are much clearer. You can see how delicate and thin my strokes are. You can always practice these lines on a separate piece of paper before applying it in the final composition. You can add in as many grasses as you want. I am planning to add 4 or 5 on both the sides so that it is equally balanced. And make sure you do not overcrowd the piece with more grasses, otherwise your reflection will be lost. I am adding one more. Repeat the process. As you have noticed, I have added a few more on the right side. We are done with the painting. Slowly remove the masking tape away from the paper so that it does not rip the paper. I'll show you a close-up. I hope this tutorial was helpful to you.